Hello, I'm ToycatA, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on in my survival world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And today I wanted to talk about beacons, because we all vaguely know how beacons work. You kill the wither, and then you can craft one of these things. These things, if you have 9 mineral blocks below them, will allow you to make this beam effect, and way more importantly, also get one of these powers to go underneath it. If you power up a beacon all the way to level 4, which requires not just 9 mineral blocks, but 244, a serious number, what you can actually do is make level 2 effects of any of these type. Do you want to have haste 2, for instance? All you need to do is get a level 4 beacon, and that is a pretty intense power, but there are actually 5 different things you might want: speed, haste, jump boost, resistance, strength, and then last of all, regeneration. And this means that if you want to have a beacon which has all of those 6 effects, then you need to make something called a mega beacon, which means having not just one beacon laid out like so, but having 6 of these. So this is a bit of an insane project that I've never really contemplated making in survival, but today that all changes because I want to make a mega 6 beacon thing that's going to be next to my Minecraft house to really show that this is the part of the world where everything is at maximum safety. It's fully lit up, I mean it's inside, it's my main area, but the way to show absolute dominance over Minecraft, in my opinion, is to have a mega beacon, so let's work on that now. So I'm going to need to make at least 5 more beacons, and if I want to make 5 more beacons, I need to kill the wither at least 5 more times, but if I want to kill the wither 5 more times, I need to get myself at least 15 wither skeleton skulls, because you can't reuse the wither skeleton skulls, and I've got 4 of these right now, meaning I need 11 more, and these are incredibly rare drops. It's a 1 in 40 chance by default, meaning to get 11 more skulls, I need to kill 440 wither skeletons. That's a large number, I think anyone can agree, but luckily enough, I do have a looting sword with smite 5 on it, so we're going to see what 2 hours of killing wither skeletons will do, because I'm going to do a live stream for the unlisted live stream playlist if you want to see all 2 hours of me killing wither skeletons. But if you don't want to see it, then we'll just cut forward magically using the power of editing, and you'll see what happened in those 2 hours. We got 10 more wither skeleton skulls, plus the 4 that I left in a chest just in case, giving me 14 of the 15 wither skeleton skulls required, which is honestly just the tiniest bit, like tiniest bit away from insult for injury. I guess, we need to go kill 1 more wither skeleton, and then we're ready to do this. I also have a bunch of experience that I need to use up, because one of my favorite tips is to always try and stay as close below level 30 as you can, so you can maximize your experience levels. But that's a whole separate point. Let's focus on getting those wither skeletons killed, shall we? Because, I mean, no one wants to see me enchant hoes, right? Because all I'm doing is just trying to get that perfect netherite hoe. It's taken me some time. It's taken me a lot of enchanting and unenchanting, but we'll get there one day. Don't know why it's taking me so long. I'm getting very unlucky with my hoes. Am I right? I am the exact opposite of fortunate, you could say. But yeah, no, we need to go also empty out all the bones and coal we got. We got so much coal, by the way. This is only some of it. So, pretty pleased with that little Nether expedition. Killing wither skeletons, it's pretty fun. So I've been vaguely considering, like, not making, like, a fully automatic one, because, I don't know, that doesn't sound like my sort of thing, but I might make, like, a multi-level Nether fortress, so that I can maximize the number of wither skeletons that can spawn. I'm not sure if that would even work, but I'm gonna give it a try. Like, do the hard work part of the skeleton farm, without doing the part that actually makes my life that much easier, because, you know what, logic. I've been racking up a surprising number of bones in my world, without really even aiming for it, just as byproducts of other stuff. So that's nice, I guess. All ready to turn into flowers, by the way. But that's for later. Anyway, for now, let's get back to the Nether, and let's get this last wither skull that we need, shall we? So this is kind of wacky, because I spent quite a while just destroying wither skeletons, not getting a skull, getting some nice bones and coal though, and then I decided to start live streaming, and the first wither skeleton I kill, well, I'll just show you the clip real quickly. Sneak in here. Oh, is that a wither skull? Hey, we got a wither skull. We did it. We did it. It's number 15. And so now I've got my 15 wither skeleton skulls that I need to kill the wither 5 times. And also that means I need a not insignificant amount of soul sand. I literally need 20 soul sand, which I know, like, it's not a grand amount because soul sand is easy to come by, sure, but it's still wacky to be like, this is a little chunk of soul sand we're using here. And now that we've got this and we've got our bow with some arrows, I hope enough arrows, we'll find out. We're gonna kill the wither, not just once, but 5 times. Minecraft's hardest boss. Hopefully, if things go to plan, we'll have killed 5 times in the next I don't know, 15 or so minutes. Honestly, I don't have a lot planned for this. I just know that the best way to kill the Wither, in my opinion, or at least the easiest best way. Honestly, the best way to do anything in Minecraft is never the way that I do something. I like a combination of the best and the easiest because, you know, easy is something we don't think about enough, I would say. But yeah, I like a nice little hybrid system where we value easy and we value good. And in that nature, here is, oh god, okay, the barrel's empty. We can just break the barrel up, and then we can make another wither up here. And I guess the upside of the withers is actually we'll be able to like have a nice little cave system that expands even more up here. So let's do this, I guess. A fun reminder that the wither in Bedrock is so hugely different depending on difficulties. You know, we actually fought it on hard in a recent video because of a challenge from Helen Angel, the community manager. It was a lot of fun. But today we're just on whatever default difficulty, because I honestly do think on you know, if you're going to, I think soon we should work out like some set difficulty to keep the world at forever. But I think for the most part, like, for the longest time I've been playing this world, survival's just been survival. And the fact that that's changed is only kind of a semi-recent thing. So yeah, the best way to, oh my god, I didn't know you could take it. I didn't know you could knock back the wither's own things, by the way. This is genuinely news to me. But the best way to take down the wither, in my opinion, is to do the first phase by range, because that's a thing you can do. And unlike on Java, the second phase, which actually I don't think there even is a second phase in Java or console. This is a weird console-y thing. The wither gets very mad of you. She's like, it is like, oh, I'm gonna get real big. You know, don't we all do that when we're mad? And then you have to do this with your, you physically have to be there for all of this, which actually can be a real pain, because also the wither does this wither charge thing. But because you're nice and high up, the wither tries to like climb to get away from your physical hits, but the wither can't climb to get away, and so gets wrecked. Just like that, the wither's dead. We, you know, our Netherite armor with nice enchantments kept us pretty alive. Having a Smite 5 sword is the best way to take down the wither. That's how I did so much damage. You might be thinking like, wait, ToycatA, did you just kill the wither that fast? And again, you know, we can blame some of that difficulty, but we can also blame some of that on the fact that, like, yeah, we literally have, you know, like, mega enchanted armor. We have Smite 5. That means we get an extra 7.5 hearts, I think it is, of damage against the wither. Then we've got, you know, a nice bow for the first half. And then we're also doing it in the kind of nether. We've kind of optimized all of that stuff, and it's pretty fun. Between attempts, I guess what we should do is, oh, this is tricky. Between attempts, I think it's always a good idea to, like, block up any lava, because lava is the one thing that could seriously mess us up. Actually, just on the off chance that it does, I'm gonna keep a fire resistance potion out, and we're gonna do this again, I guess, because I almost want to see how fast we can kill the wither 5 times. Like, it almost seems like a bit of a fun challenge, because the much bigger limiting factor, again, especially on easy and normal, on hard, all bets are off, and you need to be very prepared for everything. But the reality is, I think killing the wither skeletons, because of their weird spawning patterns that to me don't make sense and the randomness involved, can be genuinely harder than this second bit. Also, she's getting closer. I like to call it a she, you know. There's something about calling a challenge you're facing a she, or like a. I feel like we call challenges like he's, and we call you know, like objects she's, which, you know, maybe you can make some grand claim for. Maybe you can be like, you know, that's the human psyche and how we're raised, or something about something in there. But yeah, I kind of like the idea that we're like, actually, can I knock these back, my sword? Oh my god, you totally can. Is that a new thing, or have you always been able to do that? Because if so, why is this not everyone's strategy? Like, you know, just kill the wither with the wither. I guess you have to be a certain distance away for it to work. Oh, but that means that if you want to, you know, hypothetically, let's say you want to destroy a bunch of netherrack because you really want a bunch of this. Oh man, like, look at the amount we can get just by chilling with the wither. So this is a way to farm netherrack. Not that anyone in the history of ever has ever been like, oh, I just don't have enough netherrack. I mean, it's so hard to find, you know. Speaking of which, second wither down. And while we kill the third wither, because now this is a chore, right? We've gone from fun activity to, which, you know, realistically is still very dangerous, so we should always be aware of the danger, like with, I don't know, guns or whatever other dangerous things are in your life. I would say, people always talk about, like, you know, gun safety and this and that. Personally, the one that I think we should be way more focused on as people is, like, you know, car safety. You drive this death vehicle, you know, this thing that has the ability to kill so many people. It's just a mode of transport, you know. It's just, you want to go to the store, you want food, slightly, not even really want food, you're just kind of bored, and food is an easy thing to get, and you get in a vehicle that has the ability to kill many other humans, including drivers and families and whatnot. It's a wacky little world we live in. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and place down this barrel over here. Pray that it doesn't cause many issues, that the wither doesn't get down here. And let's throw all the netherrack in there, as well as just the garbage. And deal with the rest of this later. I know I shouldn't be this way, but I just find it so hard to leave all the netherrack down on the ground, right? But yeah, so I think like being dangerous with lots of things that we're not. I think the things that people are most complacent about, the things we should be the most kind of cautious of when it comes to real life danger. Like the things that we are already most terrified of are the things people already know to be terrified of. It's the things we're not scared about we should be. This past week, I accidentally, there was some blood on my floor. I will leave it at that. And I was trying to clean the blood off the floor, and I thought, like, you know, probably like bleach, because it's like it was a carpet in my bedroom. It's like probably bleach or something, right? That's you know, bleach is a strong chemical. And I was like, this isn't really like doing it. And then I was like, okay, some white vinegar. White vinegar. I've heard about vinegar on the carpet, and I don't have, you know, I couldn't find any normal vinegar, and plus, you know, normal vinegar is kind of brown. So I thought, oh yeah, white vinegar plus some, you know, like throw that on there also. Didn't think about the bleach that was already there. Kind of left it, patted the carpet. I was so joyed that my carpet wasn't, you know, like, I guess, stained after that. But I didn't think about, you know, because I was just happy about thinking how my carpet is now A-okay, that I didn't start to think about the fact that I just mixed two pretty powerful chemicals. I mean, like, white vinegar isn't the most powerful thing, but especially undiluted vinegar, it actually can be. I've heard it can burn you. I haven't done that to myself. Like, I really want to, but like, you know, I know that I should be more cautious of vinegar because it's vinegar. You don't think you should be cautious of it. That's why you should be cautious of it, you know? Like, it's, you know, like, when you don't assume that, it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of fine. And I mixed two clean chemicals, which, by the way, you can Google this. This isn't me being crazy. Literally, when you combine those two things, it makes chlorine gas. It makes something, a widespread chemical that was used, obviously in heavier concentrations than just my carpet, but it makes a chemical that was used in World War I and is generally considered to be a war crime. Like, I committed a war crime against myself that evening. You know, like that is a breach of a Geneva Convention, and that's pretty intense to be able to do that by accident. Like, those are the things we should be more cautious of. If my solution to, you know, bloodstains on the carpet was to whip out a gun, I'd be thinking to myself, like, okay, so I don't want to die because guns fire pieces of metal at very fast trajectories, and, you know, so on and so forth. But I think, like, especially if you are the sort of person who already is aware of risks, if the sort of person who's, like, very much in tune with things that can kill you and hoping that, you know, trying to make them not kill you, I think that the things that aren't the most terrifying are the things you should be most concerned about. Like, I don't know, like, what is your #1 fear of death right now? Probably, maybe it's, like, depending on who you are, maybe it's corona, maybe it's, like, some weird undetectable cancer that, you know, by the way, a lot of people just aren't getting diagnosed. Oh, God, we're very close to destroying the floor here. Maybe it's some, you know, like, thing that we're just, like, not dealing with right now because we're focused on the one health crisis rather than all the other ones around the world. But, like, yeah, the things that you're most terrified of, nah, odds are, especially if you're a male watching this, odds are, most likely way that you go out is you choose to take your own life, right? The most dangerous thing in your life is genuinely, it's weird to say this about yourself, but it's, the most dangerous thing out there is you. One of the things that has the highest, I think, you know, like, obviously you have to pick certain age groups and it's very selective data, but for the most part, the most dangerous thing in most people's lives is going to be themselves. The #1 cause of death is you. That is the, you know, which, like, I think is tragic. I think suicide is a tragic type of death in one angle. Like, it seems so sad when you hear the statistic. Enough part of me goes like, well, I mean, they're all going out on their own terms. I mean, like, in reality, what it actually is like, suicide is the cause of death, but the reason for death is that they were tragically depressed, or something went so horribly wrong that they decided suicide was the only way out. I feel bad that these striders are going to die, by the way. I don't want this, but you know what? You got to live with what you live with. Yeah, so, like, I guess, just in case, maybe this is useful to someone, I always feel a bit like, I guess, like, on some level, uncomfortable. But that, you know, the things that you're most uncomfortable talking about are the things you should maybe talk about more. Also, where is that wither? Did it go through the wall? Am I insane for not being able to see it right now? But the, and yeah, like, the same thing I was saying about, like, causes of death. I think it applies to things you should talk about. So let's talk about, like, when I was, like, a teenager, I tried to kill myself a couple of times. You know, just a couple, you know, the normal amount. And you know, sometimes people ask me about it, and they're like, you know, like, you know, sometimes the most fun questions are just like, you know, like the how on the the how, you know, like how would you do it? But I also think the interesting question is like, so how do you go from there to somewhere more productive, right? Like, I think everyone's been in a place where it's like, man, life sure is bad. How do you go from a place where you think like life is so bad that I'm okay with the choice of not life over what we have right now? How do you get from there to, you know, like living life happy? Oh god, see, this is what I was talking about with the lava issue. Definitely gonna have to deal with that, by the way. Definitely gonna have to. Okay, so this first of all, and then second of all, this. And then also our health. So again, we're thinking about the wither being then towards death, but actually the lava seems like it might be the thing that gets us in the end. But yeah, so I like a lot of people have this like big moment where they're like, oh, and then I realized life was worth living after all. Like, oh yeah, I'd assigned an intervention, something that stopped them. But I think yeah, maybe that's realistic for some people. Maybe that's more motivational and that stops more people. But the thing that you know, like when I was a teacher, the thing that like really happened to me is like I failed at what I was doing, and I was like, guess I can't really do suicide either. Like that's, you know, things have gone so bad in life that even the option of taking my own isn't an option there. And the thing that like, did we get our Never Star, by the way? I hope we do. Did it fall down, perhaps? I really hope it didn't fall in lava. That is a genuine possibility I really don't want to entertain right now. But yeah, so actually, you know, I'm gonna have to look around like crazy for this. Ah, we found it. Okay, we're all good. We're gonna scoop up the rest of this Nevrack because again, I don't like being wasteful because it is an easy way to get Nevrack. Just in case one day I need it all, I'm gonna appreciate that I did this. Or maybe I won't, realistically. I mean, again, it's hard to imagine being too grateful, like, oh, thank God you took the Nether's most abundant block that I'm... Even a lot of projects I'm doing right now, I'm thinking like, well, could get a lot of that. If I mine ancient debris, I'm gonna get an absurd amount. I'm gonna come up with some use for all this just dumb amount of Nevrack, and then everything will make sense, huh? All of a sudden, it'll be like, yeah, so glad I collected this. But yeah, so I when I was a teenager, I had some times where I was like, well, it's kind of I'll get myself out of this. That'll be, you know, like the choice of no life seemed like so much better for one than being alive. And getting out there wasn't a moment where I was like, yeah, this is I suddenly, it all makes sense. There's this golden moment that all is alive. Like me thinking about like, oh yeah, but what about the impact? None of that was the case. It was literally just, the only way, like I couldn't do it, and then everything was sad for a bit, and then I reasoned myself as like, okay, you know, you want death so bad? Here's the crazy thing about humanity. Like maybe the bigger tragedy than not being able to even you know, be in control of whether you end your own life. The bigger tragedy is like everyone dies. You know, like it's not like me not choosing to die now means I won't die. That I'm taking the path to suicide that means I live for 80 years. You know, I live another 60. You know, like 65 or something like that, max. You know, odds are I die at some point before then. Most humans don't. Well, I mean, like a lot of humans don't make it to 80. And my logic was just like, well, you know, that death is happening either way. I've just got to be okay with that coming to me. And I think that as a system, which by the way, I forgot to mention, we got kind of heavy here, what I should mention real quickly. But yeah, I've spoken about this a few times on YouTube because I think it's useful to talk about, again, the things that people don't talk about. And it always seems like, wait, that's kind of dark, ToycatA. So you're saying the only thing that kept you wanting to be alive was the fact that you knew you wouldn't be alive eventually. And like, I guess, kind of sort of also. A lot of people say, but like, aren't you glad you didn't do it now? Like, you know, I live a life that I think is, you know, top 0.1% in the world right now. Like, top 0.0, maybe not top 1.1% of like humans who have ever lived. Top 1% in the world right now, probably. I mean, think about the majority of human beings who aren't fortunate enough to be born into, you know, one of the best 10 or 20 countries in the world, depending on how you want to measure things. Like, man, that's some like serious luck you have if you were also born in one of those wealthy countries where it's actually down to you, the individual, to make decisions as opposed to, you know, like how you're born, stuff like that. But like, if we ignoring that kind of like factor, it's also like I don't not, you know, like I don't think there's being like, oh yeah, I'm so glad me having killed myself would have really regretted it, because like if you're dead you don't really get to regret things. Like I've always been kind of a realist about the fact that like, yeah, you don't get to just be like, oh yeah, I would have regretted it so much. No, I would have been dead. Dead people don't get to regret or feel or anything. Like they're nothing. If there is an afterlife, you know, generally speaking, it's not considered that people who kill themselves to get there anyway, right? So it's like, okay, there's either a version of me that regrets it heavily because of ethereal things, or there's the version of me who doesn't get to have any say. Also, I ran out of arrows at like the most inconvenient time, and now I have to try and make a little staircase up to this river, which is not the most convenient way, but we'll try it anyway. But yeah, then the only thing I think about is like, I guess it would have been awkward for my my mother or something to walk in and have to like deal with that at some point, or my brother, or like someone in my family. Like that would have sucked. I regret like having not thought about them ahead of time, or whatever. And I guess also, although it's also, I would say a lot of people's their solution is like, oh yes, I'll just do it in a way where no one ever finds out. No, that's so much worse when your family never knows how you died or why you died, because you're thinking like, I don't want to be selfish and have them find me. That's a way of rounding out. But also like beyond like, oh yeah, that, it's like, also would have sucked to have to everyone be in the family, or like everyone at the school year, like everyone who knew me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I knew someone, and then like just oh lord, okay, then they just weren't there. They decided to take themselves out of existence. That sounds like an awful thing to have to be like at family reunions. Like, didn't you have a younger son? Yeah, Mrs. IBX ToycatA, as in, wait, Mrs. It doesn't work. The whole Mrs. That has to be my like wife, right? Mrs. IBX ToycatA, despite the fact that like, whatever. I'm gonna ignore that for now. But that'd be kind of like an awkward conversation. Would hate to throw that on anyone who knew me. But yeah, the honest thing is like, I think the reality is the difference between the difference between life for me being alive and being dead right now is actually pretty low. But the thing I think is perhaps bigger, the thing that is perhaps worth thinking about, is that even though the difference for me is pretty low. No. Even though the difference for me is pretty low, the difference to the world is different. Again, whether it's just the fact that, thank God, family members don't have to talk about that one family member who was there but now isn't, and the awkward situation around that, and how they never really knew what was going on. That doesn't sound fun. Thank God that's not a conversation there. But like the reality is like, you as an individual, if you want to think about this and think about the benefits and gains, you have to think that the only difference is that the world is going to... No, I think the world is hopefully a better place. That is the one thing that makes me think fondly about the fact that that is the case. Like the world, I'm actually relatively sure. This is why when I receive messages that have mentioned like, oh yeah, this really helped me for a similar time, ToycatA, I'm so glad you spoke about it. Though it's hard to do. It's awkward. I feel like a lot of people are gonna judge me and be like, oh, ToycatA, that's so sad. But it's not meant to be sad. It's not meant to be happy. It's not meant to be a thing you feel. It's meant to be a message that says, hey, this is a thing that happens. It's gonna happen a lot more than normal, especially because of the huge mental health crisis we're ignoring for the sake of a physical health crisis. And we're really just ignoring the fact, like, we're like, oh yeah, it's all between, we ignore secondary causes of death so oftenly. Again, it's suicide is the thing that will get people, but it's the things that lead to that is the real problem, the thing you need to prevent. In the same way that it's not the fact that you can't breathe and without a ventilator that kills you. It's the fact that you had a particular disease. But we see the disease as the problem in real life medicine, but we don't see that way in mental health medicine. But I think the big thing that helps me, that makes me feel better as a human being, is knowing that, or at least, even if not knowing, at least trying to believe, at least hoping, doing my best to make sure that the world that exists with me in it is better than a world that exists without me in it. It is so easy, especially if you've never been in any rough situation, to struggle by... Because, life is a struggle. Let's not pretend it's not. Especially sometimes. There are maybe some very privileged lives where there is no struggle. But I find... I generally don't think they're that as widespread as we like to believe. I think everyone has their demons to fight, even if they don't get Never Stars in return. But everyone has their battles they struggle with, their things they're going through. And I think the only thing that can really make you be... The only thing you can really be sure of is that you can make the world... the only thing that can really be objectively true, because your own existence is going to require more and more and more. It's like a treadmill, hedonistic treadmill, you need more and more and more to feel the same thing. But making sure that the world outside of you is better, even if it's small things every now and then, That's what makes me. That's what I think the ultimate goal is in humanity, because it's the only thing that's extrinsic that will last past your lifetime. You know your lifetime is finite. Again, like the only thing that made me feel better about not being dead was the fact that I would be someday, and I think, I really think that knowing that also works the other way. If you really want to be alive, you know that pathway is coming to an end. If your only focus is like, oh yeah, I'll just be alive. That's all I've got to really do. That's my only real goal or motive here. I know I have somewhere around here. Oh, I guess, okay, I've got some glass in one of these furnaces, I think. Okay, a bunch of iron, that's useful. Maybe glass in one of these. I know it's hiding around here somewhere. There we go. Look at that. So let's put this somewhere, I guess. Let's put these away. And let's take the glass and some obsidian, because I have genuinely too much obsidian. Like, I literally have more obsidian than can fit in an end chest, which in a large chest, which actually seems pretty excessive and overly focused when you think about it. But yeah, like, you know, think about me mining all of that obsidian. What value did that bring to the world? It's easy to be like, well, it's kind of nothing, but it's like, well, I did something that's fun for me. Like, when you're doing things for you, they don't need to make too much sense. When you're doing things for the world, again, it doesn't even need to make too much sense. It just needs to help someone out. When I was mining that obsidian, you know, we had a live stream. A lot of people enjoyed that time we had together, and that was the important thing. The thing that's happening behind the reality, the cause behind the scene, is always ignored and not focused on, because it's hard to think about the thing. It's like when people say words, we take them at the value, you know, the face value of the words. If someone says, I'm feeling good today, you're like, they must be feeling good. And it's like, well, I mean, that's just how we say hello. Also 5 beacons. It felt so weird to just craft them all. It felt like I was making some awful mistake, but no, this is correct. Now we also take out some blocks of emeralds. I hope we have enough. I honestly didn't check. I was just like, you know what? 100 emerald blocks. That's probably enough, right? That seems correct. And now we'll just cross the world. Actually, we'll cross the world on foot. Let's do a little bit of let's go for a walk and a talk. Again, something that has no fundamental value in itself, but has some really great value. In the same way, when you say words, like, the exact same word, like, one of the things that annoys me most is when people go like, I hope you're doing, you know, like, I guess, like, sentimental words are just like, I hope things are good now. I hope stuff is better. It's like, that means nothing. Or, like, you know, the same as how are you doing. There's a lot of things that mean absolutely nothing if it's not from someone you know or care about. And it's friendly that people offer them, you know, like, up, and that's great. Also, look, there's no lag here anymore. Oh, that's a nice update. That's great. You know, props to whoever made that change possible. But you know, when words seem like they should have equal value all the time, but based on the context, the recipient, etc., words can mean very different things. I can say, oh yeah, I hate all people. You know, I can say I hate all people. You know, I was going to pick a specific group, but you know, online now, there is no context behind that. There's no such thing as context behind words. Words are just you know, like, it's, there are so many words that, you know, like, you're not allowed to use regardless of the context. Even if you're, I got in trouble for quoting someone saying a bad word at me because, oh, that's not a word you can use. It's like, no, that's not a word someone using the word at me can use. That's where your issue should be here. Also, I'm missing a beacon. Where did I put it? Man, am I gonna not have a mega beacon because I forgot about one of these? Well, either way, let's work on the like the ore block bit, and then we can the mineral blocks bit, and then we can kind of work on everything else. We actually, conveniently enough, as you can see right here, we can expand it 1 more block this way, and then 2 more blocks this way, without disrupting the whole covering the world in torches thing. If you don't know, my world's slowly being covered in torches. It's part of a big mega project that I've been live streaming. If you want to see a live stream episode of the Let's Play, I did kind of like a goof, like, it's kind of like a Let's Play episode, but it was live. I did that on Thursday just for, like, people who like the Let's Plays, but, like, aren't really sure if they'll like live streams. It's like a good intermediary, like, halfway in between sort of thing. Maybe you like that. Maybe you think that's some awful self-promo right after some mental health talk. You get to be the judge on that one, don't you? But I think in the world we're often so fixated on the direct meaning of what something is that we often forget about the deeper meaning. We often forget about what's happening below the surface. And, you know, because it's much harder to, you know, police other people on what's happening below their surface. You can't actually, you know, like, the reason, you know, we've all read 1984. The reason we police people on the things they say, even if they're explicitly not hateful outwardly, is because we have to try and guess if they're thinking hateful things inwardly. That's like our figuring. And some people, you know, people who are just out there for the control, like, yes, this is a great system. This means I get to do what I already wanted to do. Except now a lot of people are on board with it and actually cheering me on. So now, okay, look at this. Now we got this sort of a beacon right here. As soon as we put these blocks in, which honestly don't know why they weren't in there in the first place, by spending just another 31 blocks of emeralds, you can see how now we have 2 beacons. Is it actually a second beacon? Is this level 4? This is level 3. I wonder... Oh, the whole layer underneath. No, wait. Is that true? What blocks are missing from this second beacon? Is this level 4? Oh, no, it is level 4. It's just I didn't press one of the powers first. But yeah, now we have a beacon that can do 2 powers. And now, if we do the exact same thing, but we go 1 block further, all of a sudden, it becomes a tri-beacon. So honestly, for most people, like, mega beacons are such a cool project, and I'll talk about them time and time again as being the best thing to do in survival. Like, it's, again, it's the sort of thing, it's the sort of project where doing it for its own reason doesn't prove too much. It's the thing you're saying behind the mega beacon that matters. Like, when you complete a mega beacon, as indeed I hope to have done by the end of the day, what you're really telling people is like, yeah, I killed the Wither 6 times, and I'm just showing it off here for, you know, like, I could have 6 beacons across the world, but now I'm making a mega beacon to kind of show off. And showing off is usually a bad thing, but sometimes we need to be proud of our accomplishments. Now we have 3 beacons. This one's also level 3, as you can see. I'm actually going to grab, I should have kept some of those iron blocks, huh? We're going to grab some just random iron from a chest. Arguably, we should use gold, actually. You know what? I'm going to use iron. We're going to take some of the iron from this chest, and we're going to use it as a way of making these. So now we can have not only a... I think jump boost... I think speed is nice, actually. Speed is nicest. It's my favorite, even though it's the most basic one. We're going to grab some speed, too. Look at that. Boom. Look at that. We're going to grab some jump boost, because combining the two together is a lot of fun, in my opinion. Boom. Look at that. Jump boost is going. And again, these 2 alone are probably just about as good as I need. I would maybe argue that, like, okay, just in case I came under attack, we need resistance, or if I'm doing mining, we'd need haste. But after these 3 are done, the rest is just there for excessiveness, right? Like, I don't intend to have to fight mobs. I don't need strength if I do fight those mobs. And, you know, I don't need to resist because most Minecraft mobs can't hurt me too much. See, I just fought the Wither, and the bigger concern was the lava that it threw at me. But, you know, you do it regardless because it's not about the thing. It's about the message that it sends to other people. This is why I tweeted out this week, you know, Twitter's the other half of YouTube. If you want to see YouTube stuff, but like off YouTube, there's a place you can do that. It's called twitter.com/IBXToycat. But I tweeted out this week that like there was this piece of art that sold for literally I think it was 1.89 million or something like that. And it was literally just random stripes. And even though like, you know, I would love to know why it is that I can't just make my own stripes and like that are exactly identical or very close to identical and sell them for, say, 1/10 the price. And it's like, well, it's not the and like some of that's because it's not the original, etc. Some of it, it's that realization that there's value behind the value, right? Also, it looks like if I want to have regeneration, I have to lose one of my other effects, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna throw strength on this one, I guess, and then make it just strength 1 for now with regeneration, because then we still have 6 effects. We just don't have a strength 2 effect. But yeah, look at that. We have 6 effects now. As long as no one looks in and see, like, if you don't, as long as you don't look at your effects and see that it's actually strength 1, I have, for all intents and purposes, a mega beacon. Missing one of the beacons though. I used it for something. I just don't remember what. See, right now, do I have a mega beacon in your opinion? It's missing 1 beacon block, which is important. I can find that beacon block easily. I'm going to find it before the end of the episode. But right now, with all of the mineral blocks, with all of the effect, again, I'm not needing that strength. I can kill all the dangerous mobs in 1 hit anyway, if they're undead, and if they're not undead, it's 2 hits. The strength doesn't make a difference if it's 2 or 1. Do I have a mega beacon right now or not? I've done all the same things, but it's not here in one place. Do you think that makes the difference or not? I'm kind of curious, because again, it's all about that meaning and how things kind of arbitrarily cross lines. It's like we like to imagine there's a very clear line between, I don't know, right and wrong. We like to think there's a very clear line between, you know, for instance, being young and being old. Like, oh yeah, I'm young, and I'll know when I'm old. But the reality is there's like a very weird, blurry line phase in between, right? Also, let's get some pork. You know, look at that. That was real great. Wish I had strength 2 for that pork killing, huh? Anyway, I'm gonna go look for my last beacon. I know it's, I know a few places it must be in, so I'm just gonna work out which one it is, and then I'll see you when I get back. Aha! I found the beacon. It's in my end. I was using it when I was doing my obsidian. Like I was mining this obsidian tower because it's weird and ugly. So I mined that much obsidian. Again, kind of a dumb task, you could very clearly argue. But like, was it? Did it make things better perhaps? But yeah, we're gonna take this. Or actually, do we need to take this? By the way, I thought I had enough iron for a level 4 beacon, but then I realized halfway through I did not. And that's why I have this monstrosity of a beacon. Which I want to keep going, but I don't know if it will let me mine, because I want to mine some endstone. The end is actually the one place I regularly use beacons. You can see how I have a spot here that I was clearly using for something or other. Well, actually, you can see very clearly it was to mine the endstone over there. And I find that, you know, I find it interesting that we use them exclusively in the end. I guess the logic is like, well, end mining can be the most tedious in some ways because it's always just one block. There is endstone, then there is obsidian, then there's whatever else you put on top, but otherwise it's pretty empty. So having these beacons can be nice. So let's actually just kind of make a little higher of a beacon, because you know, we can treat ourselves to one of those. And then before we take the beacon home, let's do just a little bit of end mining, you know? It's about the fun you have along the way in Minecraft sometimes. And that's why, before we finish, I think even though this video is explicitly about the mega beacon to some extent, right? It's explicitly about the challenges we went along the way. You know, let's stick to my own point. Let's prove that maybe some people might like the section that's entirely nothing to do with that a little bit more. There might be more value in not delivering the value for some than there is in actually delivering it, which sounds crazy. It sounds nonsensical. Also, you know, the beacon, even with a level 2 thing, isn't really providing me with haste unless I'm like right at the edge of this thing, which is maybe a cause for concern. So let's mine some endstone, and let's just have a little bit of a talk time, because I feel like this has been a little bit heavy. Always good to unpack some things, because I personally think that the real big issue, the real thing that makes me feel hopefully better about existing, as dumb as it is, because I think I think being selfish is a rational thing to do in a world that is as cold and as cruel as ours is sometimes. Like, you know, why wouldn't you be selfish? It almost seems weirder not to be. But I think one of the most interesting ways to be selfish is to make the world better. If you make the world better, you are fulfilling some selfish need in some ways. Like, yeah, I'm just making the world slightly better than it was before, fulfilling my desire to feel like the world is better with me in it than without. Because, you know, a lot of people exist in the world and have like very, you know, minor impacts on those around them. Like, they shift the needle a little bit. And then there's some people who like really go all out and like try and bring, you know, like fix some of humanity's biggest issues. And although sometimes it's weird that like we've gone to a world where like if you try to fix humanity's biggest issues, you're labeled as like, oh, I can't believe you selfish monster doing it all by yourself, you know, like you should, the people who should be fixing the big issues are all of us. And by the way, the issues I have personally fixed is a very small subset. I think we should like have a world where we encourage, where we just say, hey, yeah, maybe I'm the rare person who's like individually decided that I think the world would be better. You know, where I would just like the world to be a better place. Just for the sake that like, you know, there is literally like a two version of the world. In fact, like I would say the majority of versions of me are dead at, you know, like if you think about the multiverse theory, that every decision that has happened. The majority of versions of most people are like probably alive at this point. I think the majority of versions of me, I've done so many things, dumb things, and just concluded like, that's, you know, lucky that I can't die. And I really do feel like I'm like some lucky version of me. Like even though a lot of things are rough about how I grew up, a lot of things are rough about the exact situation I was born into, prior to maybe YouTube, which is like my first lucky break as a individual. And thank you for being here and making that lucky break possible, by the way. But like I felt like a lot of very unfortunate things happen in that sense. But like as in terms of like, I don't know, in the cosmic sense of being alive, I once like I think I was like 6 when a teacher just like said, don't eat sand. And you know, if you know me, you know, if someone tells me not to do something, even at that age, I was like, I wonder why I can't eat sand. I was never given a good reason. It was just like, don't do that, it's bad. And it's like, it's sand isn't bad. And I ate a bunch of sand, and I was like, I'm fine. Nothing ever happened to me. There was never a downside, like maybe, maybe now there's gonna be some issues, but like, there was never a downside to me eating sand. It's not like, oh yeah, that actually ruptured my bowel. No. And then I realized, like, you know, either, you know, they were lying about me not being able to eat sand, or I'm invincible. And I don't know how I came up with the, you know, I don't know how I came up with that being like the 2 options that must be true. But then I was like, wait a minute, there's lots of situations where I felt like I was gonna die, but then I didn't. So clearly, I just can't die. That was the same thing, like, that was actually one of my little reactions to, like, again, a failed attempt on myself. You know, isn't it pretty messed up? The person who wants to, you know, some people feel like there's someone out to get them. You know, that's a common paranoid, like, trait, and I'd say, like, I'm a more paranoid than normal person. But, like, to me, it's like, you know, person who has made the most attempts in my life is also the person who does the most nice things for me, you know? Like, I trusted me, and you know what I did? I tried to kill me. I think that's pretty messed up, don't you think? But, like, we can use that same argument and be like, you know what the best country in the world is? The one that produced the person that killed Hitler. Look it up. Look who killed Hitler. Look what country he came from. Yeah, think about that next time you're thinking about how bad Germany is. Not that anyone does think about that. Anyway, you know, this is a whole mess. I just want to say, if anyone out there has been thinking about the same, I say this not as someone who's like, oh, I just want to feel like I'm like, I don't have any reason to want to help you beyond just like, you know, you're in a situation similar to me, and the pathway that helped me out through the end. Because one of the things I like doing with YouTube is helping people who are in similar situations that I've been in. Obviously, that's extended past Minecraft over the last, 8 years or so that I've been making videos in this game. Well, I like to help people who are in similar situations to me. And if that similar situation is maybe one of tendencies to want to not be there, I think the only real, like, you know, abject proof is that there's no difference to you about being alive or dead, but is the most important thing in the world to you? If it is, then yeah, you rip that ripcord, and it's easy to conclude that it might be, right? But if there's anything else in the world that matters to you, making sure that thing does better. It's weird because, again, like, humans are so, you know, like, as a, you know, like, if you think about us, we're very fickle in terms of, like, our wants and our needs. This past week, I've done a lot of things that are, like, against my own best interests in terms of, again, there is a mental health crisis building up, and we're just not focused on it because we're like, you know what, I want to yell at other people for doing things that I wouldn't want to do anyway, but now I can have some sense of moral superiority because now I can argue they're killing grandma by, like, meeting up with friends, socializing, what monsters or whatever else, you know, like, again, as someone who isn't social and who would be very happy if it was entirely, I would be non-affected if you banned social gatherings, and, like, indeed, I effectively banned myself from social gatherings for, like, a good 3-4 months in there. I don't like the vitriol over, like, someone's doing a thing I wouldn't like to do, and therefore I'm super mad about it. And I feel like it's the exact same logic that drives people in the other direction, right? We love to hate as a species. It's very easy. We're very fickle and easily controlled by, you know, like, baser instincts. Like, it's crazy how wildly, you know, I talk about social media algorithms all the time, and it almost sounds like some dumb conspiracy, but it's not a conspiracy. It's in plain sight that, yeah, these apps know based on A/B testing, i.e. testing people who have similar tastes and responses to you because we think we're so unique that A/B testing doesn't work. There's no one else in the world like me. So when YouTube tests videos against subscribers who are kind of like me, or when Twitter tests tweets against people who are kind of like me, they have no idea how I'm going to react, despite the fact that that person reacts like you 98% of the time or whatever it is. But you know, like we are like fed things that are really designed to make you outraged, so you spend more time, because when you're happy, you don't spend time in places. And like when the fact is that like we are very easily tricked into hating. Like it's very easy to stir up a hate mob. And one of the things I wonder if we'll ever, you know, like I hope that at least my generation learns this lesson. You know, like there'll be the same crisis a generation from now, and hopefully that generation does it too. But like I hope we work out this shit. Like, oh yeah, hating people because they make choices that you're not a fan of is actually the bad thing here. Like a lot of people think about like, oh yeah, it's not about, you know, like so many people learn about an issue, you know, learn about like, oh yeah, I really like insert group here because they're being persecuted unfairly, and they won't think about the systemic issue that led to the thing. Now, again, if you just think about like, oh yeah, the thing that leads people to hate, you know, like I don't know, also we are running out of slots for Endstone here, huh? But the thing that leads people to hate people who are different to them is the exact same thing that people are going to utilize against you when their thing, yeah, and then they'll be like, but this time it's like actually justifiable. Like we can hate people who use TikTok, like the TikTokers, you know, or we can hate people who are, you know, like doing things that are entirely okay and have been allowed because, you know, we allow human autonomy. No, those are ridiculous things. And it's kind of, it makes me sad to see it happen so close to myself. You know, like people I know get sucked into the hate bubble very frequently, and it's oh wait, the beacon. I was gonna have to do a whole nother trip back here, but you know, I remembered the thing in the end. We could even use haste to mine the beacon itself, which I think is kind of beautiful when you really think about it. That you can use the beacon to mine the beacon. But yeah, one thing that just one thing I want to have stick out here at the end is that I am actually really grateful for the weird situation that I end up I even, like, you know, pre this whole thing, you might be like, well, you know, I like your situation, ToycatA. You play Minecraft and you make videos. That's the dream. Or there's always someone making some snarky comment like that. But I do want to say, I think one of the things that is most useful in helping, like a lot of people have this exact same issue in their kind of life somewhere, you know, like something feels very bad and wrong maybe. Think there are issues you're perhaps going through, and what is the solution to those? Let's take a different route this time. You know, I feel like walking the exact same way would be boring. So let's, okay, flew past a creeper. So let's instead fly up to my castle, and let's just fly over from here, shall we? But what is one like simple tip that can help, and that really helped me, is to remember, in a world that is filled with this constant battle between needless, I would describe it as a battle between chaos and you know, reason, right? You know, like there are a lot of people who love the chaos. The chaos is where they thrive. Having no rules is a great place for a lot of individuals, and it's very easy to convince people that chaos would be good for you too. And you know, chaos would be good for a healthy subset of people. But in this world where everything's like, there is no rules, but at the same time there are lots of rules, and those rules are arbitrary, and like it's scary on both angles, right? Like if you look at any group, any big debate, it can be scary looking at those things. I think the most important thing to think about though, when the world, like again, I express fear about a particular issue, you're like, man, that's just one issue. There are so many things that like could tear us all apart. But the one thing that I think is most important is to remember, I guess to have a little bit of like gratitude for not where you are in life. I think like, oh yeah, be grateful is such a dumb piece of advice, because like, well, you know, telling me that I have it good doesn't make me feel any better. It makes me feel worse. I have it this good and life still sucks. Like, well, I'm done. But I do think that just realizing that like, okay, this is, oh, we already got a piece of iron out. I was ready for this moment all along. So by the way, would you say this is a mega beacon now? It has all 6 beacons, and you know, like this is a thing. Is it a mega beacon though? Some could argue that it's not. I might even make that argument, but no, let's throw in strength. Let's throw it in at 2. Now is it the mega beacon? Like, the icon doesn't even change if you look. My strength icon is all the same. But yeah, if I look at my effects, it's now strength 2. And then regeneration 1. I wish you could get regeneration 2. Honestly, I've never even seen regeneration in work. Let's take some damage. Let's see what this does for me, huh? Let's Okay, fly up, fly down. It seems to heal up about... Okay, it did like a little boost, like it took 4 seconds to regenerate like it normally does. But then it went a little bit faster as well. That was not the best investment I've ever done. Honestly, the Mega Beacon is still the coolest project to go for in Minecraft. If you want to really do it to the top, I guess you could also have a Netherite Mega Beacon. Some would argue that's wasteful, but you know what? Some would argue that you shouldn't be alive, and that somebody, you, is wrong. Because no matter who you are, what you're doing, you can do good, not only for yourself. Not for yourself. You can do good for the world. The world can be a better place with you in it than without. And that's just a guaranteed fact by even being the bare minimum of humans. So, let's slide it around to that. All you gotta do is do literally not less than nothing. And then, because a lot of people do nothing and less than nothing, and you'll be in the top 50% of humans. And I think you should be alive for that reason. And I think you should realize that getting you together is the most important step in doing that. Again, I think there's a fundamental interesting, like, contradiction required to make certain things work. I think focusing on you is required for a very long time so that you can focus on the world. The world cannot be helped if you are not in a place to even help yourself. The world does not need the help of someone who can't help themselves. And that's why, I've said many times, if you're in a point in your life where you have basically no access to money, like I've said, don't support the channel. I know supporting things is great and that's wonderful, but I've said many times, you don't need to. It's all good. You focus on you. When you feel happy and like you've got spare resources, then feel free to tip the channel. But that's a live stream thing I want to mention. For now though, we made a mega beacon. I'm actually thinking of dismantling it, so we'll keep it around for a little time, just because it's enjoyable. But for now, I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you did, like and let me know. This was a bit of a story to share, so if you really enjoyed it, let me really know. And also, turn on that bell if you want to see more videos. But you don't, so you don't have to. Goodbye.